Alrighty, we are about to the end of our project here. So we're going to do the tide gates, add the tide gates to the channel. There's two tide gates in this channel. There's Cocoa 1 on the west side, and Cocoa 2 is somewhere up here on the east side. So we need to build those two structures. So the first thing we want to do is collapse the widget and open the structure editor. Then we're going to use the Create a Structure button to build the first structure. So we're going to be following these instructions right here, and we'll just do it on the video rather than trying to read the picture. Okay, so first we zoom into the first structure, and then let's change the way that we're looking at it. And it's pretty easy to find. It's just downstream of this large bridge right here. And if you kind of zoom in on it, now you want to turn off your channels. Those were probably already off. And we want to assign it upstream as this cross section and the downstream as this cross section. So what we'll do is we will click this add a structure, and then we'll click this center of this grid element right here, and then go down to the next downstream grid element, left click again, and then you can move your mouse anywhere and right click because we just closed the line. See, now that's the line that we made. Now we can go upstream to the next structure. So I'll just zoom back out and move upstream. Again, I'm rolling the wheel in and out to zoom, and I'm clicking and dragging the wheel to pan. And now here we are on our second structure. So we're going to do that exact same process where we go click, click, right click, OK. And now we can save the structure, save the editor. Okay, and you can see here that we have two structures. Let's center this, and let's return to structure 1 because the instructions are going to tell us that we need to fill in the data for structure 1. So there's some interior steps right here. Save the structures, which you've already seen. Click the center button, so save, center button, and then rename the structure, put the type to channel, change the rating table, and change the tailwater condition. We're going to do that to both structures. All right, so structure 1, well, let's rename it to Cocoa 1, and let's change it from floodplain to channel because it goes channel to channel, and we'll change it to a rating table. Note when you changed it that this changed. And then we will change this to the last one, which is to reduce the discharge using submergence, but also allow upstream flow. Now we'll change to the secondary structure, and as you can see, that automatically moved us to the upstream structure. So this one is Cocoa 2. Please use the exact name right here because we'll need that when we import the rating tables. So it has to be exact capitalization. Whoops, I already messed that up. That's Cocoa 2. All right, so Cocoa 1 is here, Cocoa 2 is here. So now let's do this one. Channel, rating table, tailwater condition. And now the two structures are complete as far as the data that goes in the widget, but we need to import the rating tables. So if I use this button right here, it says only files with names of the existing structures will be loaded. Click OK, and that data, just so you know, is back here in your coastal training folder, project data, Weirs, and then you just get Cocoa 1 and Cocoa 2. Click open, and it says that the following files were loaded. Click OK, and if you don't see anything happen, just change the structure. Change the structure to load the table. Okay? Now, so that's that for the structures. Now the final step is to use the schematize button. So if you don't use the schematize button, you will get an error message in your error.check file. So schematize. Now look, didn't really look like anything happened, but if you click it again, it'll ask, do you want to overwrite it? So there's just not a message to let you know that it happened. At least not at this point. The newer plugin has a message. All right, that is basically it for the Weirs. So let's go back here and just make sure that we did everything correctly on our tide gates. Okay. Another thing to consider Oh yeah, this just tells you it might not be obvious the data was imported, so refresh your plots and then you'll schematize, and now they're ready. So the next step will be to export the project, but first we have to set the control parameters. We need to turn on the main channel, the rainfall, and the hydraulic structures. Then we can export the project, and we want to export it to a new export folder called Weir test. And of course your export will look like this, and then we want to run the simulation, and if we didn't get any error messages, our final simulation run is going to start, and you can just see that it's running if these lines are starting to fill out. Okay, let's go ahead and do that now. So this is our control variables. We want to make sure that the main channel, the rainfall, and the hydraulic structure switches are turned on, and then we'll scroll to the bottom and click Save. Now we're ready for the export. You can build your new folder two ways. You can either build it in here in your project, you can build it here, or you can build it when you export the project. So let me just clear this one out so you can see the process that I use. Okay, so I click Export the project, and then I go into the project export, and instead of like selecting one of these, I create a new folder. We'll call it Weir test. Okay, and then select that folder, and then we click OK. And as soon as that's done exporting, you'll get this message, and then you should be able to see that the exported data is now here, and then you are ready to run the simulation, run Flow2D. Now because I did my export, that refreshed our path of where we wanted to run the model. So every time you export data, it'll update the path of where you want to run the model. And we didn't get any error messages, so it just started the simulation. So now you can let that run for a couple of hours, and then once it's done, and I mean simulation hours, and then once it's done, you can shut it down, and you can look at your structures and your results and see how that file works. Okay. Now, last thing is to create the final backup in the channel series. So we save it, we save the project, close it, and then we come here and we go to get our two files, right click, and again you're going to compress with zip, or if you have 7-zip, go ahead and use that. And then we're going to rename this channel lessons or step 16 complete. 16 complete. And I think I've already done this, so I may already have one of those in there. Let's see what that does. Yeah, go ahead and replace it. I'd already done this, so I had one. And now, of course, you can just open this right back up and get ready for your next lesson. So again, go find your long-term version of QGIS. Should be QGIS 3.28. 3.22 might also work for this project. 3.22 or 3.28 should work for this project. And then of course we just drag this here and drop it here. And that should basically be the end of this video.